Welcome to Straight Talk. This time we have two beautiful daughters-in-law of Kashmir married to two separatist leaders, Sajjad Lone and Yasin Malik. Now they are women many want to know a lot about, what it is like to be married to separatist politics as it were, and we have managed to persuade them for the first time to speak to NewsX on Straight Talk. We're going to begin with Asma Khan Lone, who is married to Sajjad Lone. Welcome, Asma.
Thank you.
And thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Tell us, how did you first meet Sajjad?
I met Sajjad at my own home. He was on a visit to Pakistan.
And your home was in Karachi?
No, at that time we were residing in Rawalpindi.
Okay.
I met him at my home. He had come over. He was visiting Pakistan and he had come over to condole my maternal uncle's death. So that was the time where a guest from Kashmir, in a Kashmir household, it was very essential that I go and meet him and have an idea of how he is like, what life is in Kashmir.
Okay.
And so that's where I met him first. And in fact,
so was it love at first sight?
Actually, not at all.
Okay.
What happened was that we started discussing, and at that time, as I was working at ISS, Institute of Strategic Studies in Islamabad, and I was working as a research associate on Kashmir. So we got into this debate of Kashmir, and it so happened that we were on the opposite sides of the
What was
debate.
the topic? What exactly?
It was generally about the Hurriyat conference and how separatism was working out or panning out in Kashmir. So our first encounter was actually not so pleasant.
Okay.
But after that, I also got to meet him once at some mutual friend's place, and we somehow put aside our previous
impressions of
each other, and I think it was pretty okay after
And then
that.
you married very soon after?
Yeah, we married very soon afterwards.
And were you sort of a little hesitant, worried about coming to Kashmir?
No, not really. I think I grew up in the midst of hardcore Kashmir politics. So I always had a lot of association with Kashmir that way. So I came here. I was luckily more exposed to the situation here, to the circumstances, to the culture, and the general traditions.
Well, your father, let me say for the viewers, was Amanullah Khan, who really was one of the founders of the JKLF, right?
Yes, true.
And he is in Pakistan.
Yes.
So you had already had experience of what you would call separatist politics.
Yes, definitely.
And did it ever bother you? Did you want to be mainstream? And
No, not at all. Because there is a sentiment here, and that's very palpable as well. And so I think I do not agree to a lot of things of how the movement has panned out or has turned out to be. But I definitely think that we have a sentiment here, and I think it's better if we somehow manage to come to any conclusion, keeping in mind the larger aspirations of the people here. So I think in the midst of separatism.
So when you first came here, was it like a cultural shock, or was it something as easy as just crossing the LOC?
No, it wasn't as easy as crossing the LOC. Obviously, whenever you shift to a new place, you do have, there is that, no matter how many predispositions you have of that place, coming physically there is something different to what you've read about, or what you've heard about. It had its difficulties, it had its disadvantages, but luckily for me, I spent my formative years in the UK. And so there I had a lot of exposure to many cultures and many backgrounds, and then after that I was living in Karachi, which is one of the most multicultural cities in Pakistan. So I thankfully evolved a very eclectic worldview.
So were you sort of worried all the time about Sajjad when he's in politics? Are you worried?
Initially, yes, and even now for that matter, I think, and especially in a place like Kashmir, where there are so many layered interests and there's so many layered aspects to the whole thing. I think speaking out the truth, being steadfast to your convictions, to your commitments is very difficult. And so I actually honestly do always fear for his
So
life.
were you supporting him when he decided to contest the elections?
Initially, see, it was a paradigm shift for me, definitely, because I had grown up in, a hub of separatism.
Yeah.
But coming here, I had to unlearn a lot of things that I had learned along the way, and I saw that things were not as they initially I perceived them to be. There were a lot of intricacies, a lot of other things going on. For me, as long as Sajjad was true to his commitment, to his convictions, I was like, maybe he could play a more constructive role, a more contributing role.
So were you very disappointed when he lost?
Yes, I wasn't expecting him to lose, and I saw the hard work he put into it. I saw how he put his politics first, even before his family, his young kids. I was disheartened initially, but then I think I have earnest faith in destiny, and I'm sure whatever happened for the best, and inshallah things would turn out.
So now how
for the
many
best.
years have you been married?
I've been married 9 years now.
9 years,
Yes,
so that's
9.
a long journey.
That's a long time, yeah.
So do you regret any bit?
No,
I mean,
not
would you have
really.
liked to be, say, married and living in London or living in
You
a
know,
more normal...
it's very funny, yeah. I guess, being in politics, I had seen the turbulence, the turmoil growing up, the ups and downs, and as they say in Urdu, ke siyasat mein ya takht hota hai ya takhta. You don't have that middle path. So there was always a yearning for stability, of predictability, which probably is not in anybody's life, but you have that whole fantasy, that romanticism of having a more stable and a more predictable life. So yes, because when I got married, he wasn't into politics, and it was quite a hard decision on my part as well to become a spouse of a politician that way, because I think it's very difficult.
So how normal have you managed? What do you think is your role, is to keep your house normal for your kids, is it?
Yeah, Sajjad is
You've
not...
got 2 little boys.
I have 2 little boys, yes. Because Sajjad is more or less an absent father, so at this time I think it's a very crucial time for my kids. They're just 5, their initial formative years where they're very impressionable as well. So I've also in a way put my career aside, and I've given these 5 full years to my children, because I did not want... My father was away most of the time as I grew up, and I think I somehow have that emotional vacuum is still there. So I somehow wanted to lessen that as much as I could for my children. Yeah. So
Have you managed that, you think?
More or less, yes. More or less, I suppose. As much as a so-called single mother can. I have somehow, I think...
You think you're a single mother?
Practically, because I am the main provider, as in...
But when I see Sajjad, he's pretty hands-on with the kids.
He is very hands-on with the kids. They're very attached to him. In fact, I'm the tyrant mother around. He's the lovely father, who says yes to everything and who gets them everything. That's there, but the fact that he does not have the regular time to spend with them, he doesn't have those regular timings, those regular holidays with them, those weekends out with them, that's definitely not there.
I'll ask you a little political question. I mean, now are you more a Kashmiri or a Pakistani at heart?
I'll tell you, I grew up as a Kashmiri. I grew up seeing myself as a Kashmiri. People saw me as a Kashmiri. But it was very ironic that when I actually came to Kashmir, because I was not a Kashmiri speaking Kashmiri, people did not see me as a Kashmiri. I was taken as the Pakistani bride or the Pakistani bahu, daughter-in-law. So that was quite an identity crisis of sorts. But somehow, that did not take away my Kashmiriyat from me. I still see myself as a Kashmiri. Yes, and I
Well, you were from the same background, and Amanullah Khan himself is a Kashmiri, right?
Yes.
So, tell me, what are your hobbies? How do you pass your day? Apart from looking after the kids, what do you like to do? Do you have close friends in Srinagar?
I invariably start my day by looking up the newspapers, both online and the print media, and also quite...
You're quite political yourself, aren't you?
Yeah, I guess growing up, in a political hotbed, and then in a conflict zone like Kashmir, you just, there's no other option but being politicized. I'm very addicted to Facebook as well these days, which I'm utterly trying to cut down. But I think
are you tweeting as well?
I'm not tweeting, no.
Okay.
I just hardly have time for Facebook, but I think it's a very good avenue of gathering various information as well. I'm in touch with a lot of my friends in Pakistan, and through their statuses I also get to know about the political turmoil there, what its impact is on the situation in Kashmir.
Do you see yourself, considering that you were working in a strategic institute, that you yourself follow the newspapers, you're very well aware of Kashmiri politics, of sort of joining your husband, and you write as well, yes, of course.
Yes.
So of joining your husband at some point?
I personally
When the kids are older?
I don't know. I don't see myself right now of having that temperament for active politics, but I'd like to keep on with my writing. I'd like to make some contribution, some difference, some change through my writing, some empowerment.
Are you thinking of writing a book?
Not initially, not right now, but yes, that is something I have in mind, probably at a later stage when my kids are more,
you have more
grown
time.
up. Yeah, I have more time. That is one thing on my mind. Yes, I would like to do that.
And are you friendly with Yasin's wife?
Yes, I think we're very friendly.
Good friends?
Yeah,
and Mirwais is also married.
I have.
But I think she's more in Pardhan.
I have unfortunately not had the opportunity of meeting her, but with Mishal, yes, the fact that we've been brought up in Pakistan, and incidentally, even in Pakistan, we just live about 10 minutes distance from each other.
So you knew each other before?
We didn't know each other. I got to know her after her marriage. But yes, I know her pretty well. I have a good rapport with her, and she's just like a younger sister.
Great. So that's good. And thanks so much.
And it was
very interesting.
Same here.
And see you soon again.
Hopefully.
I looked at him and I had this kind of this spiritual kind of feeling. He called up my mom and he's like, thank you for coming and I'm leaving tomorrow. Suddenly he was like, I want to talk to your daughter. And my mother's like, okay, sure, no problem, talk to her. I like Pakistanis a lot. I was like, that's very nice, so will you come again? He's like, yes, I miss Pakistanis. And then he just blurted it out. He's like, I'm going to miss you. I was like, whatever, like.
Really?